Now, sad news breaking in the world of sports on Thursday evening as former president of the Confederation of African Football, Issa Hayatou, sadly passed away on Thursday, aged 77. Now, the Cameroonian served as president of the African Football Governing Body between 1988 and 2017. Born on the 9th of August, today was supposed to be his birthday. Born on the 9th of August, 1946, his death comes a day before his 78th birthday. Hayatou also served as interim FIFA president from 2015 to 2016 when Joseph Sepp Blatter was suspended amidst the corruption scandal. Now, during his tenure, he played a crucial role in shaping African football, securing increased slots for African teams at the FIFA World Cup and overseeing the successful hosting of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. We would say, may the soul of Issa Hayatou rest in peace. Now, joining us to talk about this is Simon Lyonga, sports editor from Cameroon Radio TV. Great to have you with us, Simon.
Hello, Dokan.
Yeah, sad news breaking in the world.
Also.
Right, sad news breaking in the world of sports. Issa Hayatou, some months ago, I think in March precisely, there was this rumor that he had passed on, but of course it was debunked that nothing has happened to Issa Hayatou, although he had battled with a long time illness. And yesterday we heard a sad story that he has passed on just a few hours before his 78th birthday.
Secondly, like you said some months ago, when we had news that he passed on, the whole of Cameroon was shocked at the same time, just like Africa and the world. It was debunked because most of us hurried to his home in Yaoundé, and we met his family members who told us he was still alive. But we all knew that he had been ailing. He has been sick for a while. Surprisingly enough, yesterday, when nobody was expecting to hear such sad news, it hit us like a fan in the face that the former CAF boss was no more at 78. Some leaders in Africa at 78, they are still very young. So we'll say he died as a very young man at 78. But we all remember Issa Hayatou as the person who brought a lot of happy moments, glory to his homeland, Cameroon. I bet you, Udoka, out here in Cameroon, it is a difficult moment. Everybody is, let me say, mourning the demise of the great sportsman, the guy who brought glory to Cameroon, let's say double glory to Cameroon in 1988. Remember that he won the CAF presidency in 1988 in Morocco. And that same year, the Indomitable Lions won the African Cup of Nations still in Morocco. So when they came back home, they came back with a double trophy. And we're very happy because Cameroon won that match, that final, after beating Nigeria once again. So it was a good thing. We are sad, but we are celebrating the life, like the life of the man. He's been a great guy. He's been a great man. And we think his legacy will live for long. You're talking a while ago about the achievements as president of FIFA, as president of CAF. Remember when he took over the AFCON, it was an 8-nation tournament. He moved to 12 and he moved to 16. He has always been against the movement, the 24 team format of the African Cup of Nations because he once told us that you cannot organize a competition where 50% or almost 50% of Africa's number of countries will be participating. He wanted the AFCON to be an AFCON for the best, an elitist competition. He left. Some other people came. They took the AFCON. The evaluation is going to be made. But for now, that was the man that we're mourning out here in Cameroon. Udoka?
Right. I would love to also feel the pulse of the Cameroonians out there because this man has actually done a lot for African football. Let's take away the negative side of the story now, the negative side of Issa Hayatou, but of course, his achievements, his contribution to the growth of African football. We can boldly state that it started with Issa Hayatou. I beg to be corrected.
Certainly, you get it correct. Most of all we have today as competitions in Africa started with Issa Hayatou. Remember, before he took over, there was no AFCON, that is the African Women's Cup of Nations. He is the one who started it. There was no African Nations Championship, the CHAN. He is the one who started it. And then the age competitions, the under-20 African Cup of Nations, the under-17, he's the one who started all of that. So it is under him that we had this development of African football on the field. But out of the field, remember, he came up with this policy of constructing CAF excellence centers in Africa, around Africa. We are proud to have one of them out here in Cameroon. There was one in South Africa, another one in Ethiopia, also in Senegal. Centers that were used for the training and upgrading of coaches of other football officials like referees, coaches, secretaries general, and all those who, let me say, are stakeholders in the game of football. Even media officers, media men like us, when I was still the media officer of Team Cameroon, we benefited from a training in two of these centers in Africa. So those were some of let me say, the good points of Issa Hayatou in CAF. Remember, when he took over as CAF president, CAF had as budget in their coffers 1 billion francs. And by the time he was leaving CAF with close to 25 billion francs and some supplementary 10 billion francs to come from Lagardère that was having media rights in Africa. So away from the administrative work he did, he also made CAF a cash-friendly association, far from what we have today at the level of the Cairo office. Okay?
Yeah, I'm with you. Right. I would also want to know, is there any plans coming from the Cameroon Football Federation?
For now, the FA has not made any plans. They've not communicated on any plans, but we know that they are going to do that. But what we are sure of out here is that it's going to be a state burial. And so if it is a state funeral to be organized, the FA can only come in to meet with what the state has prepared for him. Don't forget that before his demise, he was the board chair of the country's national football academy, which we call ANAFOOT out here. Appointed by a presidential decree from the President of the Republic of Cameroon. So away from that, he's been a serious state man. I remember vividly the day Issa Hayatou came back home after his short tenure of office as president of the global football body FIFA. There was a massive celebration in Yaoundé at the sports complex where every other sports stakeholder, not only football stakeholders, every other sports stakeholder was present. The hall was full to pay homage to this Cameroonian who made us proud for more than 31 years at the helm of the African Football Confederation. And so that was some sort of the funeral organized before his funeral. If I were Issa Hayatou, I would say I already saw my funeral before time. Because on that day, they paid homage to him. They told him what he represents to the country. They gave him the real person he is. They told him the real person he is to Cameroon and what he means to this country. It's after then that the President of the Republic honored him with the board chairmanship of our National Football Academy. Remember, when Cameroon was about hosting, I remember one time I talked to Issa Hayatou, just to tell you the person he used to be. We were in Tunisia, and a couple of Cameroonian journalists were disgruntled at him for what they called failing to make Cameroon, his native country, host the African Cup of Nations. And when we went to him, he smiled. He listened to us and smiled and told us, my dear younger brothers, I am president of CAF and not president of Cameroon. And I'm going to rule African football and not Cameroon football. If the authorities of Cameroon want the African Cup of Nations to be in Cameroon, let them apply, let them have the facilities, and we're going to hand it to them. It's an executive committee decision. Now, I was also in Ethiopia when, in Addis Ababa, when Cameroon was handed the 2019 edition of the competition, which later moved to 2021. And Issa Hayatou was still president of CAF. I remember on that day, when he was about reading the team or the country that won the bid to host the 2019 AFCON, he stood up and smiled and said, 2019, enfin. Enfin is in French means at last. He said, at last Cameroon. And so it tells a story of somebody who also wanted that competition to go to his own country, but he never wanted to be like he's going to be using high-handedness to push the competition to his country. So when he was sure that the authorities of Cameroon were ready to hold that competition, he made sure he went to them. And I will also tell you something, Udoka. Remember when that competition finally came to Cameroon in 2021, Ahmad, who was the president who took over him, went ahead to suspend Issa Hayatou for ethical reasons. He went to TAS, the CAF, the Court of Arbitration of Sports, and he won the case. But Ahmad had declared that Issa Hayatou should not be found anywhere near the games of the African Cup of Nations. Can you hear that? In his own country. But Issa Hayatou was there. Everybody in Cameroon was waiting for Ahmad to use security to try and touch Issa Hayatou, and the African Cup of Nations was going to be spoiled. That tells the story of somebody who was much loved in his own country. People wanted the best for him, and they wanted him to quit the stage while the applause was loudest. We think that is what he has just done. The applause is still loud, despite the negative parts, like you say, we should leave out, of the African Cup of Nations or the running of CAF out here in Africa.
Definitely. We would say the man lived a life of unbiasedness towards Cameroon, talking about him wanted the Cup of Nations to be hosted in Cameroon. And I would say we commiserate with the family and say may the soul of Issa Hayatou continue to rest in peace. Thank you very much, Simon Lyonga, for joining us today.
My pleasure. We are still grieving. My pleasure to you, Udoka, for the good job you're doing. Hello to Anastasia. Despite the fact that she said she is sad, I thought she was sad for Africa, for Issa Hayatou. She is instead sad because Nigeria is not winning enough medals out there in Paris. Anastasia, hello.
Hello, nice to see you.
Cameroon, please.
I'm sad. We lost a great president. So he was the longest serving CAF president. So may so rest in peace, well, you know.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And don't be sad for Nigeria because Cameroon also exited the competition without winning a single medal.
Oh.
We went with just 6 athletes, and all of them were eliminated. Our medal hopeful for at least one medal was the 100-meter sprint champion of Cameroon, who is the vice champion of Africa.
Yeah.
He failed at the semifinals. He ran in 10.0, but you know, at the Olympics, if you don't run below 10 seconds, you can never be. We had so much hopes in Nigeria's Ajayi, but he also fell short of the 100 meters. We hope we're going to get there one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will get there one day, talking about our athletes winning medals at the Olympic Games, which is ongoing at the moment. But of course, once again, thank you, Simon Lyonga, for joining us today.
My pleasure, Udoka, and all the time, I'm always present.
Thank you very much. All right.